welcome back to the Frontend Insights. Today we are going to tackle a common coding problem, finding the maximum number of consecutive ones in an array. Okay, so this problem often comes up in a coding interviews. So understanding how to solve it step by step will be super helpful. Okay, so let's have a problem explanation. The problem we need to solve is to identify the longest stretch of consecutive ones. Okay, in an array that contains only zeros and ones. Okay, so for example, our input if our input array is 110 111 01. Okay, so we want to find the longest sequence of consecutive ones, so which is in this case is 3. Means we have 3 consecutive ones here. Okay, so that will be our output. Okay, so let's start by creating a function max consecutive ones. Okay, let me create find max consecutive ones. Okay, and we will take an array as an input. So arr is an input. It's the argument we have. Take. Okay. Then to keep track of the longest sequence of ones, we will need two counters: max count to store the maximum sequence we find, and current count to keep track of the current sequence of ones as we loop through the array. Okay, so let's take two variable. Let max count one variable. This could be 0 at first, and then let current count, and this could also be 0 at first. Okay, so max count will hold the highest number of consecutive ones we have encountered so far. So while current count will count the current sequence of ones. Okay, so now we will use a for of loop to iterate through each element in array. So for each element we will check if it's a ones, or a zeros. Okay, so let me write a loop for of loop I'm using. Okay, so let me name the num and the array we have taken. Okay, so here we will check. We check here if num is 1 or 0. Okay, so this loop will go through each item. This loop is go through each item in array and allowing us to check if each item is 1 or 0. Okay, so if num is 1, we will increase the we will increase the current count by 1, since it means we are in a sequence of consecutive ones. Okay, so let me write the loop. If num is equal to 1, then we will we will increase the current counter plus. Okay, and here we are counting each one. We are counting each one we encountered by adding it to current count, which help us keep track of the current sequence of the consecutive ones. Okay, so let's handle the zeros then. If num is 0, it means our sequence of ones has ended, so we will check if current count is greater than max count. If it is, we will update max count. So let me write the else. In else case, max count is equal to math dot max, that is the inbuilt function we are using, and we are comparing the max count and current count. Okay, and the current count we are making 0 in else case if the num is 0. Okay, so the math.max function compares the max count and current count. If current count is larger, max count gets updated. Then we reset current count to 0 since the sequence ended. Okay, so after the loop, we might still have a sequence of ones that didn't end with 0. Okay, so we will do one last check to see if current count is greater than max count. To then max count is equal to math.max and max count and then current count. We're comparing it here and then we return the okay. And this is the final check. Ensure that if the longest sequence of ones is at the end of the array and we don't miss it. Okay, so finally we return the max count, which now holds the maximum number of consecutive ones in an array. Okay, so we return max count. Okay, so let's test it, our function, with an example. For an array, the longest executive ones should be 3. So we have given this array. We will log this array first. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me call this function log, then find max consecutive ones, and we'll pass this array. Okay, so as expected, we expected the count should be 3. Okay, let me save it and then okay, there might be some issue. Let me check. Okay, so I guess we made mistake here because we took const here. It should be let, so it allows us to update the value. In case of const, it will not change the value. Okay, we are getting issue. Let me check once. Okay, yeah, I got a mistake. How? Me? Yeah, it should be outside array, outside for loop. Then only it will work. We are returning it in for loop. Okay. Let me clear this and run it again. Yeah. Now we got the expected output. Okay. Now we got the expected output. Our function returns 3. So which is the longest sequence of consecutive ones in an array. Okay, so let's here's the complete code with each part we discussed put together. Okay, so we will loop through the array. Counting each one we encounter. Okay, if we hit 0, we compare the current sequence count with our maximum count. Here we are comparing, okay, and we we reset the current count to 0, okay, count to 0 after each 0, okay. After the loop, we do one last check to ensure the longest sequence is captured, okay, longest sequence is captured. So this is an efficient way. So this is an efficient way to find the longest sequence of ones in an array without needing nested loops. Okay, so and there you have it. We have built a function to find the maximum number of consecutive ones in an array. If you enjoy this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comment if there's another coding challenge you would like to say. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.